Hey everyone, it's been a crazy year and we've created 68 brand new Fakemon together. So I've compiled all of their Pokédex entries to celebrate while I'm on hiatus. If you like any of these Pokemon, then like and subscribe for more Pokemon in 2025. We still have another 72 to go until we hit my goal, plus Gigantamax and other forms. Enjoy! Meet Seaweed, the seed beetle Pokemon. Seaweed are naturally cautious and timid, making them hard to find as they disguise themselves among the seeds scattered on the forest floor in the Wentano region. No one is sure of their population numbers since they make themselves intentionally difficult to track. They're especially rare as companions to trainers as their timid nature makes earning their trust challenging. Meet Levillain, the rogue beetle Pokemon. Levillain's evolution from Seaweed led to an increase in size, strength, and speed. With many Levillain regretting their days spent in hiding, pretending to be a seed, they now seek dominance over the forest that they live in as a form of revenge. They discard their shells, opting instead to have their leafy wings exposed as a form of camouflage. Meet Unicles, the enlightened beetle Pokemon. Now disturbed by its actions as a Levillain and convinced of the error of its ways, Unicles has taken a vow of blindness. No longer trusting their visual perception of the world around them, they develop intense psychic abilities when they evolve, and use their antennae and third eye to predict their opponent's movements. Still a capable fighter, the only way to beat a Unicles is to think faster than it. Meet Maglet, the Magma toadlet Pokemon. These Pokemon are exceptionally rare, found within the volcanic tubes that run below the massive mountain ranges of Wentano. Sometimes they're kept as pets, but are often discarded due to their temper tantrums. If you encounter one in the wild, be cautious of the warts on their bodies, which can explode with molten lava when they're angry or in danger. Many have suffered severe burns after running into a maglet. Meet Ignitoad, the igneous toad Pokemon. Ignitoad hunt for their favorite food, lava rocks, deep below the volcanoes of the Wentano region. Their stomachs burn so hot that these rocks can be melted and assimilated into their bodies. When their diet consists of enough igneous rock types, they can grow obsidian spikes out of each of their warts, which have become specialized organs. These spikes can then be launched at high speeds as a form of defense. Meet Todimar, the diamond toad Pokemon. Todimar are incredibly rare and difficult to find in the wild. They reside only in the deepest caverns below Wentanoan volcanoes, where they create beautiful crystalline dens. They are known to have quite the appetite and eat 100 pounds of volcanic rock daily in order to continue producing the beautiful gemstones that protrude from their bodies. They often love to look at their own reflection, admiring the beauty of the crystals lining their backs and shoulders. Meet Trippish, the tripod fish Pokemon. Trippish can walk on land using the elongated spines from its fins and tail. It can breathe air as long as its gills stay wet, and often Trippish escape onto land to avoid being eaten by larger Pokemon like Sharpedo. While on land, they dig their spines into the ground to steady themselves before an attack. Kind of like digging in, and it's thought to give them an extra power-up for projectile-based moves. Meet Grumpfish, the land fish Pokemon. Grumpfish are not fond of being interrupted. They are, however, quite fond of basking on the beach, leaping around, and wallowing in mud. Should you see an orange fin sticking out of the sand near a beach or lake, be sure to give it proper caution as getting too close could cause Grumpfish to get defensive, launching itself from the earth. The spines on its head, hands, and tail are all formidable weapons that can severely injure both people and Pokemon. Meet Aerialish, the sky fish Pokemon. Aerialish are fiercely competitive and often attract trainers with similar natures. Able to fight battles on land, in the sea, and in the sky, these Pokemon will seek out the toughest opponents in order to test their mettle and improve their strength. Their nose and fin spines are incredibly sharp, and have even been known to slice through solid rock on multiple occasions. Meet Stagmite, the ceiling Pokemon. Stagmite are one of the most common Pokemon in the Wentano region, populating many of its cave systems. That being said, their stalactite carapace can make them difficult to spot without help from a trained eye. Residents of the Wentano region know how to find and avoid walking directly beneath a Stagmite, as they can cause serious injuries. Meet Stactite, the stone cocoon Pokemon. These Pokemon resemble stalactites as they form a rocky cocoon that surrounds their bodies. They secrete a sticky substance from the top of their cocoon that they then use to stick themselves firmly to the ceilings of caves in Wentano, making it very difficult for predators to both find and remove them. They will absorb minerals from the moisture found in these caves, so they prefer damp and dank caves to dry ones. Meet Slagmite, the brooding rock Pokemon. Slagmite are very caring parents and will carry Stagmites within their hollow thoraxes. They are known to be quite territorial though, especially when they have their young with them. Because of this, you will rarely find more than one mating pair of Slagmite in a given cave, as they will chase other Slagmite out of their territory. The holes in their shells allow stalagmite to come and go freely until they evolve into stalactite. Meet Fortowel, the Dream Reader Pokemon. Though they are nocturnal by nature, Fortowel spend much of their days and nights sleeping. The waking hours they do have will be spent gathering food, but the rest of their days are spent swaddled in their downy wings. Because of their sleeping habits, many of the residents of the Wentano region believe that when a Fortowel is sleeping, it is viewing the dreams of those nearby. This has even led to beliefs that they can dream and foresee the future. Meet Vijowl, the Dreamwalker Pokemon. Vijowl often visit the dreams of people and Pokemon across the Wentano region, though they rarely hang around for very long. If you do spot them in your dreams, it's considered a strong omen, though good or bad is unclear. Vijowl will often watch the dreams of those they feel will make the biggest mark on the Wentano region, for better or worse. Their abilities are considered prophecy by many people who live there. Meet Falsight, the dream-talking Pokemon. Falsight are incredibly rare in the Wentano region, as a Vijowl must amass great psychic ability in order to evolve. After evolving, their abilities within the dream world are greatly increased. Able to come and go freely, now they can even talk to those that they visit while dreaming. Many of Wentano's greatest heroes and villains have come about due to the whisperings of a Falsight in their dreams. Should one visit you, it is a great omen that you may play a role in something truly terrible or grand. Meet Succulent, the succulent Pokemon. Succulent are known to roll themselves up into tight balls and roll across the arid grasslands and deserts of the Wentano region. Though small, their durable succulent leaves help them to survive for long periods of time without water, as they make long journeys from water source to water source. Succulent are known to emit a sweet aroma just after drinking, which has saved many wandering through the desert from thirst. Meet Mellowsweet, the cactus fruit Pokemon. Mellowsweet run around the Wentanoan deserts at top speed, searching for thirsty people and Pokemon that it can lead to water. Many survival experts recommend that if you're lost in the desert, not to follow Mellowsweet if you are experiencing extreme fatigue or thirst, as chasing after it may deplete your resources before you reach water. Instead, you should ask for the fruit that it grows and carries around, as a Mellowsweet's fruit can contain quite a bit of water itself. This fruit is also a delicacy in towns that border the desert, known for its sweet but diminished flavor. Meet Oasis, the walking oasis Pokemon. Oasis carry large quantities of water with them as they travel through the deserts of Wentano, searching for people and Pokemon in need. Though not as fast as Mellowsweet, they are now much more efficient at helping people as it seeks them out. Many in the surrounding areas believe that when this Pokemon dies, a new oasis will be formed in their memory, as if the desert took kindly to their actions. Meet Gigantamax Oasis, the giant fountain Pokemon. Gigantamax Oasis have achieved their dreams of bringing water to all the thirsty Pokemon of the desert. With their multi-tiered bodies, they can effectively hold and distribute the water that flows from them. Where they were once prickly, they are now ever-inviting, hoping to act as a living oasis that benefits all people and Pokemon. Meet Snipunt, the snipping Pokemon. Snipunt will often use their small pincers to snip at people and Pokemon who it feels are invading its home turf. These incredibly territorial Pokemon are in fact all bark and very little bite, as they do not carry the dangerous venoms or weapons that their evolutions do. Because of this, you can just ignore this Pokemon should it attempt to scare you off, though this will only infuriate it further. Meet Invipion, the inverted scorpion Pokemon. Invipion are perfectly content staying upside down for extended periods of time. They will drive their stingers into the ground and lift their entire bodies into the air using their strong tails. The markings on their body make for a scary face while in this position, and they use this to make up for their small size and intimidate enemies. Invipion also possess a deadly acid that they can spit from their mouths as well as inject using the stingers on their tails. Meet Tricipian, the three-cannon Pokemon. Tricipian live in the harsh deserts of Wentano and are known for taking out targets at great distance using the powerful cannons on their claws and tail. Their deadly acid quickly dissolves even tough stone, which they can take advantage of when digging their burrows and dens. Should you encounter an angry Tricipian, there isn't much that can be done except hope it hasn't noticed you, and if it has, then run as quickly as you can, because speed is their primary weakness. Meet Traquinaut, the three-jet Pokemon. I recently discovered Pokemon. Its method of evolution is still being studied by Pokemon researchers. They believe that Traquinaut is actually quite an ancient Pokemon, and that Snipunt are among its descendants. Something about rigorous training at this ancient Pokemon's home seems to have activated Invipion's genetics, bringing this form into the world once more. Meet Compai, the locator Pokemon. Compai can be quite tricky Pokemon to tame. Not because they don't care for their trainers, but rather because they can be easily distracted by trying to find treasures and gifts to give them. To stay in a Compai's good graces, it is best to give a little something to drink each time that it gives you a gift. Many think this dates back to pirate traditions of old when Compai were present on sailing ships in Wentanoan waters. Meet Navigeist, the mapping Pokemon. After helping find so many treasures as a compi, Navigeist are often even harder to keep on task. They spend every second they can rewriting their map to make a treasure's final location as clear as possible. Navigeist can find these treasures by communing with the dead, and will often lead trainers to the things that were most treasured in another person or Pokemon's life. Meet Peblozix, the treasure Pokemon. A truly tricky Pokemon and a lover of puzzles, Peblozix are known for taking your favorite items and eating them. Only by entering the right combination of unknown letters can you retrieve them, while Peblozix can be found in ancient cities and shipwrecks as they search for the treasure in trainers who love puzzles as much as they do. Be warned, they are only reward correct answers and will spew a poisonous gas for incorrect ones. Meet Gigantamax Peblozix, the Puzzle Tower Pokemon. A living dungeon, Gigantamax Peblozix is eager to welcome anyone and everyone to enter within it. That being said, they refuse to let those that they deem undeserving to receive even a single gold coin. Because of this, Peblozix rearranges its insides in order to perfectly test each individual's character, as well as their strength and their mind. Should you pass all of the trials within, eventually, you'll reach the top and find riches untold, such that generations later, your family will still speak of your heroics and how you've changed all of their lives for the better. Meet Wentano and Mischievous, the dusting Pokemon. In days of old, these ghostly companions traveled with the people of Wentano, helping to keep their wagons and homes spotless. While their role may have been more of servitude in the past, they have kept this habit alive in modern Wentano, and you can still find them cleaning up abandoned buildings at night, and in the middle of the desert. Meet Miss Nimbus, the Dust Devil Pokemon. Unlike its clean freak ancestor Mischievous, Miss Nimbus is all about chaos. It spins the lower part of its body to create fierce dust devils, sending dirt and debris flying into every crevice. If you manage to annoy one, expect a whirlwind of sand in your home soon after. They consider themselves the sheriffs of Wentano's desert, and will readily take justice into their own hands. Meet Mollectric, the electric mole Pokemon. Mollectric are nearly blind, but don't require eyesight as they spend much of their time digging burrows underground. Instead, they rely on a highly specialized organ on their nose to feel the electric currents flowing around the organisms and earth around them. This special nose makes them excellent at finding small bugs to eat, even in pitch-dark caves and tunnels. If you see a Mollectric, understand that they are incredibly shy and don't currently view your actions as threatening, but that can change in a heartbeat. Meet Volburo, the electrolocation Pokemon. Volburo have gone completely blind, but often have a much better picture of the world around them when compared to other Pokemon. This is because of their incredible ability to sense electricity running through the nerves of organisms around them. You may think that this would make the Pokemon vulnerable to attacks from the air or at long distance, but Volburo can release pulses of electricity that it uses to detect foes or prey from significant lengths. Meet Ninzoku, the cloth ninja Pokemon. Ninzoku are born from the fighting spirit of often young martial arts students. Their fighting spirit imbues their clothing, which, once discarded, can become a Pokemon itself. This Pokemon in turn retains that fighting spirit and the wearer's dreams, aiming to become the best ninja that it can be, and swearing to live the code of honor that ninjas do. Meet Sevitsu, the sickle Pokemon. Sevitsu are born from a symbiotic relationship formed through shared dreams of total domination. When a Seviper and Ninzoku come together to try to become the ultimate killing machine, a cloth-wrapped, poison-soaked sickle forms on Seviper's tail. Ninzoku wraps the rest of Seviper's body to make alterations elsewhere, and together they become quite the formidable opponent. Meet Zangetsu, the Tekokagi Pokemon. Zangetsu evolved from the union of a Ninzoku and a Zangoose, and live by a strict code of honor. Under this code of honor, they have devoted themselves to the elimination of Seviper and all evil that they believe are not fit for this world. In surrendering to Ninzoku, Zangoose gains new weapons, new power, but it may have lost something else in return. It's not entirely clear how conscious this Pokemon is beneath the cloth wrappings that adorn its body. Meet Sabitsu, the thrown weapon Pokemon. Sabitsu are master thieves and are known for trying to break into the most secure places and steal the most valuable of all treasures. Their limbs are made of cloth and can be unwound into large prehensile tentacles that are perfect implements for theft, lockpicking, and even combat. That being said, it carries many throwing stars and kunai on its body that is crafted from stolen crystals that it prefers to use over close quarters combat. Meet Escavitsu, the katana Pokemon. Escavitsu are incredibly capable sword fighters and spend all of their time training for battles yet to come. Should you challenge one to a fight, their steely demeanor makes them difficult to read and impossible to predict. The sword on each arm and on the bottom of their shells can cut through nearly anything, and they are considered the strongest weapons that any normal Pokemon might have in its arsenal. Meet Healit, the glowing rat Pokemon. Healit are a Pokemon of interest to some fringe groups of the Wentano region. After its first appearance in the region nearly 40 years ago, some speculate that it may not be of this world. These theories are held in high regard by some, but often discarded by many of the Wentano region's residents. One thing is for sure, if you see a glowing blur run by you at night, it was probably a Healit. But where was it going? Meet Machismo, the cybernetic rat Pokemon. Machismo are incredibly rare, as it is not often that one will stay behind after visiting a new world. Their bodies and minds are enhanced using the incredible technologies that make them both physically adept and intellectual specimens. If you find yourself alongside a Machismo, understand that it has chosen you to be its trainer despite incredibly high standards that not many can meet. Meet Galung, the tongue-tail Pokemon. Galung's strange body structure has become a hot topic in the modern scientific community. While some argue that over time Galung's hind legs have been getting smaller and smaller, others believe that this Pokemon theory of evolution only applies to the immediate evolution from stage to stage, rather than over time. Regardless, these little troublemakers often are called terrors of the desert because of their pranks and bad attitudes. Meet Oculisk, the eye-belly Pokemon. Oculisk are menaces in the Wentanoan desert, as encountering them often means that you'll get a face full of black goop. Shot from the Pokemon's 3 eyes, this somewhat sticky substance is harmless, but has been known to dye clothes and skin a dark black. The peoples of Wentano who lived here long ago used to collect this goop for dyeing their clothes, but it's said that this Pokemon looked quite different at that time. Since then, it has lost its hind legs in favor of quick movements underneath the desert sands. Meet Idotum, the Totem Pokemon. Idotum were once carved by the ancient tribes of Wentano, but now the descendants of those carved Pokemon can be found in the wild. The location of these original Pokemon has since been lost, but Idotum are still friendly towards the Wentanoan peoples, who can be attributed to their creation. Many believe that if a person could find the methods by which the original Pokemon were carved and created, that a person could then find the location of those Pokemon. Meet Totalkin, the Totem Pokemon. Totalkin are formed when two Idotum come together and evolve. It's thought that this evolution is unlocked by the carving process that ancient Idotum underwent with their trainers. They are known to periodically stop what they're doing, levitate in place, and rotate their heads slowly, as if to take in their surroundings. Curious by nature, these Pokemon seem to see everything and anything, with little escaping their notice. While they do have a good range of motion, they also appear to be content holding still for long periods of time. Meet Gantuary, the Totem Sentry Pokemon. Found in many different forms, this Pokemon evolves when multiple Totalkin come together to defend or protect a common goal. Though a product of a bygone era, these Pokemon can still be found wandering the ruins of ancient peoples as well as the wilds of Wentano. They're known to find a single point of focus and dedicate their existence to protecting it. Their stone bodies can deliver fierce blows to those who endanger their hyperfixation, but many people of Wentano know they can also be gentle giants. Meet Ironch, the Iron Conch Pokemon. Ironch may not be very big, but it possesses an electrical capacity only maximized by their metallic shell. Should predators come after them, they're known for electrifying the water in their immediate area, stunning their enemies, and giving them plenty of time to escape. They spend much of their time searching for metallic fragments in the sandy beaches they live in, and use their magnetic senses to keep track of larger metallic deposits. Ironch consume these deposits to grow their bodies and their shells, leading to their evolution. Meet Nautalic, the metallic mollusk Pokemon. Nautalic are generally unbothered by their environment or other Pokemon around them, as seeking out new metals has become their primary focus. Their immense electrical power makes them difficult targets for predators, and their shells protect them against those who can withstand the shock. Nautalic often experiment with adding new metals and different combinations to their shells to create the perfect alloy. This leads to many Nautalic having completely unique shells with different strengths and patterns. Meet Sluggergy, the metallurgy Pokemon. Sluggergy are decently large Pokemon that aren't difficult to find sifting through sand on the seafloor. That being said, they can be quite difficult to approach. With their extrasensory abilities and electromagnetism, they can often detect threats from a great distance. They will then dispel clouds in the area, full of metallic particles that can be discharged into when a foe approaches. This greatly increases their range and makes them a difficult Pokemon to avoid should they deem you a threat. Meet Stovercoat, the fur coat Pokemon. Stovercoat are able to live up in the highest mountains of the Wentano region where snow falls year-round due to their incredibly thick and fluffy fur. They grow and shed their fur in layers, often retaining the last shed as a fluffy coat they can wear until their next shed comes in a year later. This unique coat becomes the prize of many foreign settlers who began to hunt Stovercoat centuries ago, almost driving them to extinction. Now their numbers are resurging, but they are ever weary of those who might want to take their coats. Meet Finipe, the snipe Pokemon. Finipi are considered to be a myth by many of the Wentano region, as they can be incredibly difficult to track and find. Should you see a Finipi, be careful when approaching it, as they will bolt at the soonest hint of a threat. Many just sit patiently, hoping to give off a good aura that will lead this Pokemon's curiosity to taking over. A lucky few are able to develop a bond with this Pokemon and train it. Its downy feathers can sometimes be left behind as gifts to those who have curried favor with a Finipi. Meet Truppy, the puppy trout Pokemon. Truppy have a unique reputation in the Wentano region because, while they have bizarrely misshapen bodies, they are considered to be incredibly cute. Wentanoan trainers will often intentionally seek out the most disfigured versions of this Pokemon to call their companions, and it's been said that these common Pokemon may have a latent power within them that they can't access because it would require too much brain power from them. Their famously short memories act as a barrier to this kind of evolution. Meet Troutitan, the guardian serpent Pokemon. Troutitan's existence has only recently been proven as some of Wentano's waterways have dried up, leaving them homeless. A few noble trainers who tried to rehome them found themselves partnered with this eager and friendly Pokemon instead. Since then, scientists have been able to find and study wild specimens, which seem to only appear as individuals in any given lake or river. The reason for this has yet to be understood. Meet Shaggy, the marsh grunt Pokemon. Though they resemble Scraggy of the Unova region, Shaggy's bodies work in very different ways. Able to secrete and electrocute a specialized mucus, these Pokemon are capable of long-range attacks and creating a strong defensive barrier around themselves. This versatility makes them quite a frustrating presence in the marsh. They aren't strong as individuals, but can often be found operating in packs, making them much trickier to deal with. Meet Shafty, the marsh enforcer Pokemon. Shafty are the designated leaders of a platoon of Shaggy and have often been tasked with overseeing a given area of their boss's turf. Be wary of interactions with Shafty. If they don't get what they want from you, it will often lead to a strong electrocution. Even if you win battles with them or defeat them in their grunts, you will likely end up being hunted down by their organization, which may even include humans. They're quite good at using their specialized mucus to commit crimes and employ their Shaggy grunts while doing so. Meet Shafboss, the marsh boss Pokemon. The exact number of underlings that a Shafboss has isn't set in stone, and it can be in the hundreds given the right circumstances. They use their mastery of mucus to build an avatar that surrounds their body as a deadly weapon, and they don't take kindly to anyone resisting the family. If they get word from a Shafty that someone has, the full force of their Pokemob, which I'm going to trademark by the way, will be after that individual. Their bodies have atrophied from an excessive use of the mucus avatar, making the only hope for defeating a Shafboss to remove the thick mucus from its body. A difficult task indeed. Meet Wentano and Tangela, the Seaweed Pokemon. Tangela are covered in a tangle of seaweed, differentiating them from their Cantonian counterparts. These Pokemon have a curiosity regarding humans and the many items that they produce. They often sneak up to local beaches to steal items of great curiosity before returning to their shoals underneath the waves. They wear masks and snorkels in an attempt to fit in with humans, though they don't need them to see or breathe underwater. Meet Wentano and Tangrowth, the Seaweed Omen Pokemon. Though they're often proclaimed to be a bad omen by the sailors of the Wentano region, these Pokemon are harmless to humans and to ships alike. They do, however, have a habit of finding and following boats around, just in case they sink, so that Tangrowth can collect the bits and baubles on board. In rare cases, they have snuck aboard larger ships and stolen things as well, though it's never anything of value. Their curious nature often gets the better of them and overcomes their shyer tendencies. Meet Tangoliath, the Seaweed Forest Pokemon. Tangoliath are rarely seen by people, though some on barges in the open ocean do report being watched by them. Tangoliath spend much of their time scanning the ocean floor for shipwrecks from long ago. They hunt for treasures left behind on those boats that they can add to their growing collections. Many think that long ago Tangoliath caused ships to sink intentionally so that they could collect the treasures inside. This seems to not be true for modern ships, though. Meet Anglure, the fusion Pokemon. Anglure have dramatic differences in size between male and female Pokemon. Males are much smaller and use their eyesight to locate females in the depths of the ocean, where they attach to them. Once attached, these Pokemon undergo a symbiosis, becoming one and producing a clutch of eggs. Once this process has been completed, the male remains a part of the female's body, unable to detach as they are now one. Meet Plankton, the Plankton Pokemon. Plankton are some of the smallest Pokemon that researchers have found in all of Wentano, but also worldwide. This size makes them vulnerable to many predators, but they can strobe lights from inside parts of their bodies to scare and deter those that would eat them. They can also hide themselves quite well when their lights are extinguished, as their drab color scheme makes them nearly invisible within the dark waters. Meet Pulsaton, the pulsating light Pokemon. Pulsaton are considerably smaller than almost any Pokemon within its own ecosystem, with the exception of Plankton. Researchers have seen swarms of Pulsaton work in unison to hypnotize and feed off of would-be predators, completely turning the tables on them. They seem to feed off both mind and body of their victims, as those who do survive the feeding process are left in a deep, unbreakable trance. Meet Octarva, the confusion Pokemon. Octarva spend much of their time flipping upside down and back again as they float along the ocean floor. They will often seek out larger Pokemon and attempt to discombobulate them with the illusion that Octarva is right side up, causing them to change directions and even bump their heads on the ocean floor from time to time. Their pranks sadly led to the deaths of divers and explorers before scientists recorded them and began to warn those swimming in the Wentano oceans. Meet Ochiva, the merSquid Pokemon. Ochiva tend to fall somewhere in the middle of the food chain wherever they live in the Wentano Ocean. Because of this, they have 2 layers of disguise that they implement, one for being hunted and one for hunting. When hunted, they will flip upside down to reveal the false face of a squid, but while hunting, they maintain the appearance of an innocent young mermaid. Meet Mercipire, the vampire merSquid Pokemon. Mercipire were not discovered to be Pokemon until modern times, when submersibles were able to dive to the depths where they live. It is all but confirmed that these dangerous and aggressive Pokemon preyed on innocent sailors who didn't know better and were deceived by their feminine appearance. Even today, they lure unsuspecting Pokemon in close, only to devour them with their giant mouths found on their stomachs. Meet Wentano Kabuto, the sharp shellfish Pokemon. Wentano Kabuto wasn't discovered until recently by deep-sea explorers, but it has raised many questions about its Cantonian counterparts. When Kabuto fossils have been revived in Wentano, they are identical specimens to their Kanto cousins, but these fossils are now believed to be incomplete as the living variant have additional features that may not have survived the fossilization process. Meet Wentano Kabutops, the dragon shellfish Pokemon. Wentano Kabutops have been recently discovered, but some believe them to be among the oldest dragon types, with an impressive lineage that stems from them. Their strange claws can act as both a defensive shield or a volatile punching mechanism that can literally boil water around them. Though generally passive, you can never be sure that they won't strike at you next. Meet Jellyfish, the jelly light Pokemon. Wentano scientists have absolutely no idea how this Pokemon is able to generate light. Its electrical abilities are fueled by energy produced from algae colonies living within the Pokemon's outer body, but that algae feeds on the generated light to produce that energy. Further study becomes difficult as this Pokemon can only be found near the bottom of the ocean. Meet Jellyfish, the jelly magnet Pokemon. Jellyfish have caused many problems for deep-sea explorers because their magnetic tentacles can cause instruments to malfunction. They use these twin magnets to disorient Pokemon navigating along the planet's magnetic poles, drawing them in before unleashing strong electrical attacks. Though this Pokemon isn't very large, it has been known to defeat enemies much larger than itself on a regular basis. Meet Rangel, the glass angel Pokemon. Rangel have very delicate bodies constructed from glass that appear to be nearly invisible if not for their molten core. Very few of these Pokemon have ever been spotted, but they always seem to be floating near the sandy floor of the ocean, feeding off of the fine grit sand that can be found there. Once observed, they quickly disappear. Scientists have not been able to confirm where to. Meet Curlangel, the glass angel Pokemon. Curlangel appear to have gotten past their sand-consuming habits, and scientists have been able to observe it seemingly sucking large amounts of water into its body. No specimen has been captured for study, but it's believed that this water is being stored in the appendages attached to its head. Anytime a Curlangel has been observed, it quickly darts into an area covered in smokestacks, disappearing into the thick darkness. Meet Garcerif, the glass seraph Pokemon. Garcerif are capable of creating new life from sand and ocean water and are working diligently to rebuild what once was. They seem to be working against some kind of clock to create more Rangel, who then assist it in their efforts by bringing more sand to Garcerif. Garcerif appears to be trapped in her cave, as her exposed core will stiffen and paralyze her if exposed to too much seawater. Meet Seraphade, the glass seraph Pokemon. Seraphade are the loyal companions of Garcerif and stand guard to her foundry. Though hypothetically more Seraphade could evolve, the existing Curlangel have yet to find the sunstones necessary to do so. Seraphade's body does have exposed core on its arms, which can be used as deadly weapons, but they become fragile if they're cooled by the seawater, meaning they can rarely leave the cave that they call home. Meet Furymax Crawdont, the furious rogue Pokemon. Crawdont has allied itself with a Pokemon long sealed away, gaining incredible powers after claiming an ancient relic. Its massive claws have been seen crushing skyscrapers and wreaking massive havoc with the surrounding areas. What could possibly quell this massive beast with the immense power that have been bestowed upon it? will legends rise once again to save the Wentano region? Meet Heromax Heracross, the unified horn Pokemon. Heromax Heracross has increased its fighting prowess along with its size. Its horn now sharp as a blade, Heromax Heracross has been seen cleaving entire mountain ranges in two. Should it open up its carapace, where it once had wings, Heromax Heracross has twin rocket engines that allow it to move and fly at high speeds despite its massive size. Heromax Heracross's trainer is thought to be someone who's skilled in battle, cunning, and understands strategy to a T, fully taking advantages where they have them and making their opponents suffer for their weaknesses. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe for more Fakemon and art content in the future, or join our Discord, link in the description.